50/50 podcast. Hi everyone, I'm Yas.
And I'm Yel.
And welcome back to 50/50.
Yes, and you already know, do not forget to hit that subscribe button while you're already here. We have new episodes out every single week. So yeah, just hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any video.
And today we're going to talk about a really pivotal time in my sister's life.
Yeah.
Something that she has gone through. I don't know if you want to just go ahead and get straight into it or...
Yeah. I think I want to get straight into it because
Okay,
I feel
let's
like
do
there's like lots that we can say about it.
Yes.
So we can just go straight into it. But basically, I kind of said it a little bit last week where I was like saying, you know, I was kind of going through like a pivotal time in my life. I was like a lot of changes, but it's really not a lot of changes, just one really big change.
A big transition.
Exactly. And I'm sure you can see by the title of this video, but I decided to leave my corporate job, my 9-to-5 job, which for me was such a big decision. And I didn't take it it wasn't a decision I made lightly.
No.
I've been thinking about this for a really long time.
Yeah, years, I would say.
Yeah, years, honestly. And yeah, I just want to kind of share that because I feel like a lot of people in our generation too, like, I don't know, I feel like it's like the revolution of like people not wanting to conform to the 9-to-5s, you know, like working in the corporate world.
Well, there's that, and then there's also the people that believe in like the hustle culture. You know what I mean?
True.
Like they have to be working 24/7.
Exactly. And so that's kind of like
both sides. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that was what had me torn too from like making my decision or not. So anyways, that's what we want to get into this episode, all about my kind of experience and how I came to this decision and kind of my plans moving forward and everything, but really just kind of talk about corporate America because I've had a lot of years of experience now in corporate America, and it's just, there's a lot to say about it.
There's a lot to say. I've also been in corporate America. Like you can say I had a corporate job. I actually had a federal government job.
Yeah.
And so that's very interesting and fun and whatever.
Yeah.
In itself.
But yeah, there's a lot to say about it and everything. So I'll kind of start from the beginning a little bit, giving a little bit of background. So I went to school and everything, graduated with my degree in marketing. And that's always what I wanted to do. Well, I shouldn't say always, but ever since I was in college and I was kind of just figuring out like, you know, what I wanted to do and everything. And marketing just seemed like a really interesting thing out of all the other options. Cause I really was lost, honestly, when I started college, I was just taking, you know, the basic regular classes and just the general subjects, you know, like to just
general studies.
Exactly. I didn't want to waste time. Like I didn't want to have my degree take longer than the regular 4 years, but I didn't know what I wanted to do yet. So anyway, somewhere in there, I remember you like found this like you're like this major called marketing. You're like like this is like kind of like some jobs that you can get with it and whatever. And I really fell in love with it when you told me about it. So then I started pursuing that.
And she actually got into a really good school, into the business school, which is like a prestigious school.
Yeah, and it was hard to get into also, like, and I've always been a good student, thank goodness, but like it was hard. I was like making sure I get all my good grades and everything. And I wasn't a straight A student, but I would have like mostly A's and like maybe 1 B here and there. And, you know, I was able to get into school and I really loved my school too. I had like a good experience, like everything was great. And then of course, you know, the goal is like when you're graduating is to find a job. Like that's like what kind of how, I don't know, but at least in my school, like everybody kind of measured success is like, are you graduating? Do you have a job already? Like, are you graduating with a job? You know what I mean? Like
basically that's how it was. I remember you would go to job fairs while you were in school. That was part of, I think, one of the classes. You had to go to job fairs and like apply to different jobs.
Exactly.
I remember that.
One of our classes, which was just like one of those classes that you have to take, but it's like not that many credits, but they had like little things that you had to do. And like you had to go to a certain amount of job fairs every year or semester or whatever it was that we were taking it at that time. And then like do different things. Like they made you do your resume. Like they would make you do all these things, which honestly I appreciate because I feel like it kind of pushed me to get those things done. But so and while I was in school, I had a retail job, so I already had been working and everything. But I found this job, you know, and I really liked it. Well, anything I would have liked anything, to be honest, at that point, because you're like, you know,
I think so you like the money also.
Yeah, I like the money. When I saw the money, I remember like just being, you know, in college, I was just like, oh my God, I was like, I can't believe I'd be making this much. And it's not much, but when you're in college and you have just been working a retail job, you see those numbers and you're like, oh my God, like this is amazing.
I'm rich. Even though it's not that much money.
It's not that much money at all. They actually pay you really low as an entry level position. But anyway, so I end up getting a job and it's like literally the job starts 1 week after I graduate. So I'm like left kind of with like no time to like no summer vacation, you know? And coming out of school, you're kind of used to that, like having that summer vacation. Like even though I would work in retail, so all my summers I would end up working, but it's just so different working a part-time job because that was part-time. Yeah. And then you still have free time going straight into a full-time. So I was so excited though. I was like, you know, I wanted to work in corporate America. I really wanted, like, I was like, even, working in retail and everything, thinking about a 9 to 5, I'm like, oh my God, that's so amazing. Like you get to, go in and you kind of like have your own desk and, all these things.
Get dressed cute for the office.
Exactly.
And you like take your lunch or you eat lunch with your friends at work and just like the whole
office experience. Yeah. Like I was excited for it and everything. And I started a job there and everything. And like from day one, I'm going to be honest with you, the very first day we're like, okay, this is what you're going to be doing. I already hated it. I was like, this is not for me. I'm like, just the whole structure, like going through and working, because you work 8 hours, but you have a 1 hour lunch. So actually you're there in the office for 9 hours. Mm-hmm. And oh my God, like I know we've talked about this, like I know you felt the same way. Yeah. I was just like, I remember, it was 1 week after graduation. So it was summertime. And I remember just coming out. By the time I got home, because there's, traffic and rush hour and all that, it was like 7 p.m. And I was just like, is this literally what I have to do every single day? Yeah. I just could not imagine doing that every single day. Obviously 5 days a week, except for the weekends. Yeah. And I did. Like I did do that.
You did. And this is also like, moving forward, let's say forget summertime. Now it's winter time. And you leave your house when it's pitch black outside because you have to be at work early.
Yeah.
So you leave the house when it's dark. You're in the office. You see the sunrise from your office. And then when you leave your office and you're driving home, it's already dark again.
It's already dark, or the sun is setting.
The sun is setting, but you basically see you are never in sunlight.
Exactly.
Ever, because you're in an office building.
Yeah.
5th floor, 6th floor, whatever. Even if you're on the main floor.
Yeah.
Ground level. You're inside the office.
Yeah. If you're lucky enough, you have a window seat.
But I was about to say,
you don't even have a window seat.
If you're lucky, you have a window seat, which most people don't, because that's reserved for all the like directors, managers, vice presidents, CEOs, whatever.
Yeah, and there's only so many window seats too. So like most likely you're in an inside seat.
Yeah, an interior desk. So that's also rough. That's rough on a person, especially being able to just go outside. It's hard. It's hard, that whole thing.
Exactly. And it is really hard. And that was something that like for me, even from the beginning, I was just like, oh my God, I'm like, I can't see myself doing this for too long. But I did, because I kind of pushed through, and like we were saying, like I was seeing the paychecks come in. So the money is like, was something that I was like, okay, the money's good. So I thought at the time and everything. And it was good for me at the time, honestly. And then just the whole experience, like there were positive things about it. Like, you get to meet people, and I did make a group of friends there that we all started together. And it was just, we all were kind of going through the same experience of like starting, in the corporate world as really young kids. Cause most of us were 22. Like we were just literally straight out of college. Like we literally just graduated and started because of that, start date that was so early, in the summertime. So anyways, there was perks. That job also, there was a lot of traveling. And that's something that kept me around too, because I was able to travel a lot. I would travel with my sister. You guys would come with me, my mom also. And
we would travel like throughout the United States.
Yeah, throughout the United States, we would travel a lot. And like, so we got to go to so many places and like stay in nice hotels, because this was all on, the company was paying. Yeah. And they pay for your airfare and hotel. Of course, my mom and sister, when they would join me, they had to pay their own stuff.
Exactly. But you could also even extend your stay if you wanted to. That was so nice.
And I would extend my stay at least a day or two, depending where we were going, and like, enjoy the different places that we were going to. So all that stuff kept me there. And you start kind of like, the routine kind of like takes over, and you start kind of getting used to it, because you're just like, now you start accepting that 5 days a week, your day is completely consumed by working. Yeah. And I just remember coming home and I'd be like, so exhausted, but I'm sitting all day at my desk.
Because it's like a mental tiredness and not really physical. It's a mental thing.
It's like a mental exhaustion. And I just remember being like so tired. I wouldn't even like want to work out or anything. I literally would go home and like eat dinner, take a shower, and like maybe watch a show or something and go to sleep.
If there was even time, because you have to wake up like
exactly
at the crack of dawn.
You have to wake up so early that you have to go to sleep early as well, because like you're waking up, and we have horrible traffic where we live and everything, so I would have to wake up literally at like 5:30, 5:45 in the morning maximum in order to like get ready and get on the road like ASAP before all the traffic gets even crazier, although there's already traffic at that time, which is just insane. So anyways, I ended up switching jobs, and I got
you stayed in the same company, just switching roles, really.
Yeah, roles, departments, everything. So I ended up switching jobs, and this was more aligned with my marketing degree. So I was like, finally was able to like do what I wanted to with my degree and everything. And so kind of same thing. And then I would work from home. So all that stuff kind of kept me there for longer. But really, I was just like, I knew every day when I was there, I'm like, this is not for me. And everybody there, and like in corporate jobs in general, this is not specific just to this company. they're very much about like, you know, the corporate ladder. So everybody is like, you have to act a certain way. You have to like do certain things in order to excel in that corporate ladder.
Yeah, because that's like the workplace politics kind of thing. People want you to be a certain, in every workplace, right? In
Exactly.
every single workplace,
Yeah.
there's a certain way that people act.
Exactly. Yeah.
And some places are more casual, some places are more uptight. If you have a horrible manager, then
Yeah.
you know, things kind of get messed up there, but everywhere they have that way that they want you to be.
Exactly. They want you to be a certain type of way. They want you to do certain things that we were saying. And it's just like,
It's not always who you are
it's not
either.
always who you are. It was so unnatural to me.
Yeah.
So unnatural to me. So I really struggled with that. But I also was like, I'm not changing for this. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't follow those things. And then what happens is you end up not being like the favorite, right? And not that anybody hated me, because I actually really enjoyed everybody that I worked with and never had any issues. Like I was loved who I worked with.
And also being a minority there.
Exactly.
Because the majority of the people that worked there were a specific group of people, and you were literally, based on what I can remember, you were like the only one.
Yeah. And
Or maybe
yeah.
one other person was, you know, of mixed races.
Exactly. And that was another thing. Like when I started my job, it was something that was kind of like a shock to me because, you know, being so young, like a young professional, going straight into the workforce, I really didn't have anybody. I mean, my dad works in an office, so I kind of had that going, you know, take your kids to work day. I kind of had that experience. But where my dad works is so different.
That's what I was going to say.
Because he works in a very diverse place, so it's completely different than what I experienced. And a lot of older people too. It wasn't like young people.
And that's the thing though, where we live is a very diverse place.
Exactly.
It's a very, very diverse place. There's like, our neighbors are of all different kinds of races, ethnicities.
You go to the store,
colors, whatever.
Yeah. You see all kinds of people.
It's all kinds of people. So we're really used to seeing that diversity. So when you went into that office,
yeah,
it was a shock for you.
I was like, I honestly had like a culture shock, I feel like, because no, I went in, and this is not to say anything bad, but when I went into the office, you know, as a young professional again, I really didn't know anybody else my age who had an office job. At that point, you had just gotten your office job really recently, close to when I got mine.
Exactly.
So it was like, I still didn't have much, like you didn't have much anything to tell me.
And
yet.
where I was working, it was super diverse.
And where you
because,
working,
you know, it's a government job, so
exactly.
It's diverse.
Exactly. And so my job was all, like I'm saying, this is not to say anything bad. This is just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It was all white people.
Yeah.
Like you walk in and it's just like a sea of white people. And it's nothing bad about that, but it was different for me because I had never experienced that before.
Yeah.
Not in my schools, not anywhere. I always would be around so many mixed people. So even that was already a little bit different. Like I would definitely stuck out, and I didn't care really, to be honest, but it's just something about it also that it's just like, you're like, wow. And all these things like you don't really realize, like, you know, because when you're growing up and everything and you're around so many people like you, even if they're not exactly like me, but they're, you know, first generation people, right? And then you go into this place and they think it's so weird that my parents are not from America. And I was just like, what? It really threw me for a loop.
Weird.
Because everything, like, they didn't even know, like, there's just like so many things, like so many different foods that we eat around here that everybody around here knows. And I went to school with a lot of people, white people as well, and they would know these things. So it was like these people were just different, and they weren't from around the area. A lot of them were from different parts of the United States.
More like we can say kind of the countryside of
yeah, maybe more like countryside areas and everything. Yeah. So anyways, they were not from here, and it was just so different to me because this job is in where I live. It's close to where it's like local to me, right? And these people were just so different. So anyways, that was just like a shock for me too, and kind of adds, I think, to like maybe my experience there too. You know what I mean? A little bit. So, but I ended up even making up great friends and everything. And I have friends till this day from there and everything. So it's like, it's nothing about it. It just definitely was kind of a shock of getting there, of being there. And yeah, so just anyways, kind of going to what we were saying about like just the corporate and everything. I always knew, like, when we would talk with our managers and everything, which by the way, I loved all my managers. They were always, any manager that I had, they were always so nice. And great to work with, and I literally no complaints about that at all. I always, like, that was never the issue. It was just like the things that you have to do, and even your own self, the things that you I guess should be doing in order to excel in a corporate job, I just didn't want to do. It's not me. I didn't want to do then, I don't want to do now, and I don't want to do ever. It's just not natural to me, and I really didn't want to do those things. And it's like, just to give you as an example, for example, we'd be in meetings, and they're coming up with some idea or whatever. And, people are like, oh, like, so how was your weekend and whatever. And, to me, I'm like, how was your weekend? I'm like, oh, my weekend is good. I did this, whatever. And then somebody else,
my niece or something. Like,
exactly. And then other people were like, oh, well, over the weekend, I was thinking about like this, and this, and I came up with this great idea and blah, 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 whatever. And I'm like, over the weekend, I forgot I was employed. Like, I like to take my days off seriously. Work is not my life. That is the difference between me, and I was noticing with these other people where work is their life. And they even have dreams about work. And like, they were in their off days, they came up with these great ideas and like to solve these problems, whatever. And I'm like, that's just not me.
Yeah.
That's just not me. If I have a day off,
it's off.
It's off. And best believe I'm going to be doing something that I like to do.
Yeah.
Maybe getting my hair done, maybe doing my nails, going for a walk. I don't know. Even just like watching TV, videos, whatever I want to
doing whatever. Just something that doesn't include
exactly
work. Like you're not thinking about work.
Exactly.
Where in this case, they would come back from a weekend and be like, oh, I had this great idea over the weekend. I was planning this for the job, for the company, or I don't know, for the team.
Yeah, whatever
it is, that applies.
Exactly. Or I did such and such, like I finished this over the weekend, and I'm like, that's just not me. I'm not opening my laptop over the weekend. I'm not even answering my phone if it's work related. I'm not, because I wouldn't even.
I mean, they're not paying you also for that time.
Exactly. And that's how I believe, and that's how I work. And honestly, that's just like a tip too for people out there. If you're ever going to corporate America, you can make people know that, because I feel like I trained all my people that I work with, because they would just know, like, they're like, don't hit her up after working hours, because after 5, I'm not answering.
Yeah. No.
And I would answer the next day at 8 a.m. when it's time to clock in for work.
Right.
So yeah, I just, in all those ways, I just really felt like, corporate America was just not for me. And I just been, thinking about I even got my MBA also while working.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I went to school full time, getting my MBA full time while working full time. And all these things like really drain me. Like, I'm so happy that I did it. And I'm so proud of myself and everything that I did it. But
I'm proud of you too.
Thank you. But it all really drained me. And I just have been thinking for a long time, like we were saying, I've really been going back and forth. And I know because I've asked you so many times, and my mom and my dad, I've spoken to everybody about, and I'm just like, you know what? I really feel like I just need to like leave my job. And yes, possibly find another job and everything, but I've just been so burnt out. I'm like,
and not to mention, throughout this time, 2020 also happened, right? That's something big that everybody knows, and it impacted so many lives.
Yeah.
And then also within the 2020 and all that stuff, we've had a lot of like medical emergencies and stuff like that, health issues with family members, all kinds of health issues that have really, really impacted our life and our, like, how we felt, really.
Yeah.
Like, it burnt us out for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, we're better. Everybody, thank God, is okay.
Yeah.
For the most part. And so that was actually a big impact also, or kind of like a wake up, like an alarm, like, hey, life is short.
Yeah.
And it's time to live it a little bit, because you never had a break. You've been working since a teenager.
Yeah.
And nonstop for, all this time up until, last week, I think it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I've been working, and like exactly you're saying, I've been working since I was 17 years old. So I've always been going to school and having like my retail job all throughout, while I finished high school, and then all throughout college. And then as soon as I finished college, like I was telling you guys, I started my corporate job.
After.
Then I went and did my MBA while I was working and everything. So it's just been a lot. And then also like the personal things, like you were saying too, that was also a lot, because that literally like took over my life. Like, I'm the type of person, unfortunately in a way too, but like that whenever my family's going through something, I can't be
just
okay.
Ignore it.
Yeah. I can't be okay. And especially like, some health issues and everything like that, it was so hard for me to even focus on things. And like, so all that does play a role. And like you're saying, it also makes you realize too that life is short, and like, there's plenty of jobs out there too. So if this one isn't a fit for you, then you should go and find another one or something, because you don't have to, be unhappy. You don't have to be that unhappy in your job.
You don't.
And that's when I knew it was time to go, because I literally was just like, every single day I didn't look forward at all to working. And I know nobody does, but at least before I could tolerate it, I'd be like, okay, there's some positive things about it, whatever.
It was draining you.
Yeah, it was draining me. Got to the point that I was just like, I didn't even want to wake up to go to work. I wanted to wake up, of course, and like have a good day and do different things. But
you didn't want to open that laptop.
Exactly. Didn't want to open that laptop. I was just done. I was completely done with it. Like
and every task that would come in.
Exactly. it was annoying.
Yeah.
I was already annoyed. Like,
Yeah.
the task might not even be hard, or the project we're working on might not even be hard or anything out of, the ordinary, whatever, but I would already just be annoyed.
You just had enough. That's what happened. You were through, you were done with it.
Yeah.
You completed what you had to complete there.
Yeah.
And you outgrew it. That's really what happened.
Exactly. That's really what happened. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. And like, I was, telling some people, just my friends though, because I didn't say this to anybody else, but I'm like, I feel like I really, like, I came, I saw, I conquered, because I feel like I did everything that I could there. And I'm good with that. Like, I don't feel like, oh, I could have done this, I could have done that.
You weren't even being challenged anymore.
Yeah. The growth was
just
not
so mundane stuff
exactly.
too.
The growth was not, even what I wanted it to be or anything. So I just felt ready for a change. And instead of, I did, kind of go back and forth. I'm like, okay, I'll look for another job. But when I was looking for other jobs, I was just like, I was already exhausted just by reading the job application. I was like, I can't be doing this. I'm like, it just seemed like so much. So I really took a lot of time to think about it. Because like I said, it's not something that I did lightly.
No,
this has been
years. This has been years since, I want to say since before you started your MBA.
Yeah.
And then throughout your MBA, you were like, which is very common. People usually get their MBA and they find another job.
Yeah.
Higher paying job and everything.
They'll even sometimes quit their jobs to do their MBA. And
exactly.
Then, like, use that as kind of like for a career switch.
Exactly.
Whether that's to a different, whole different thing that you're doing, or just furthering your career, whatever it is.
Right.
Even when I was in my MBA, actually, they did tell us, like, they kind of, recommended their, like, to find another job after you get your MBA, because they're
that's
like,
usually what people do.
Yeah, exactly, because they're just like, it takes your degree further than just staying at where you're at, because the growth will never be the same if you until you switch. But yeah, so I came to this idea. I was like, I want to leave, and like, definitely one of the first people who supported me is my sister, of course. So you were telling me, like, you were kind of encouraging me, to that it is okay to do it, because I was scared too.
And I just think right now is the best time, because you're a young person. And I truly believe that when you're young is when you need to be switching jobs. Not every month, not every year, but they say, stay 2 years at a job and move. Stay 2 years at a job and move. And that's how your pay goes higher also. So I truly believe in a movement throughout your youth is good. So then when you get older, you're in a secure job and you just go there until it's time for retirement.
Exactly.
But until then, until you get to that pay that you want, you have to keep moving around. So I truly believe that having a break, switching jobs and all that stuff, that's the only way that you're going to advance in your career. That's the only way that you're going to move forward. And I 100% supported you. And I was just like, you should even take a break.
I know. Exactly. And then, so that's when I came up with this idea also, where I'm calling it my gap year.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm like, you know what? I was kind of thinking at first, I was like, oh, if I had a month off, I'm like, that'd be amazing. Having a month off, that'd be great. Then I was like, you know what? A month is like, what can you really do in a month? Because you can't really do much in a month, to be honest. So I was like, okay, 3 months maybe is good. Then I was like, you know what? I'm like, I need a freaking year. I need a whole year to kind of just like reset my life and just honestly enjoy life a little bit, because you work and you work so much. And like, what's the point of working, right? The point of working is to kind of give yourself a better life in a way, right? Exactly. But if you're working so much, you can't even enjoy, like, you need to step back for a second and just enjoy a little bit. So that's what I want to do. And of course, I've like planned this for a while, and I live at home and everything. So I have been saving my money. So I'm like, I'm going to be fine, taking a year. I'm not going to be like struggling or anything. So that's, I think, an important part too. Like,
that's very important.
Wasn't just an impulse. Like, I woke up and I was like, you know what? Leaving this place.
Like we said, this has taken, of course. This has taken many years. This is something that you've been thinking about for many, many years. So it's not just a spur of the moment thing. And, we've talked to our parents about it.
Exactly.
And, they support everything that we do. I support everything that you do. And you've been prepping for this time. So it's not like it just happened. This has been many years prepping to have a year off.
Exactly. And that's kind of how I was like spinning it too, to like our parents and everything. 'Cause I was like, you know what? I'm like, kids will take sometimes a gap year from, high school to college. They'll take like 1 year off before they start college, or sometimes they end college and they'll take a gap year too, between college and then finding a job, like in their field or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, what better time to take a gap year right now? I'm like, I've already worked, so I have the experience. I don't have to like be worried about like, oh my God, like, on the resume, they're going to be like, why'd you take this gap year? I feel like it's not going to be an issue, because I have so many years of experience already. I have my degrees, I have all that, right? And what better than to take a gap year with having some money in the bank? Because had I taken a gap year when I was like out of high school or out of college, I didn't have much money saved up to be able to even enjoy my time off. It would have been like a year off, but like counting pennies kind of, like to making sure I don't, do this or that. So in this year, I'm planning to like also do some traveling and stuff like that. So it's just about having a good time, kind of resetting everything, relaxing,
enjoying all the hard work that you put into everything, because
Exactly.
you didn't even, my sister also graduated during, 2020 and all that stuff. So she didn't have a chance to even travel anywhere for that as a graduation present. So now it's time to enjoy that, because you put in so much time, so much effort and everything into getting your MBA.
Yes.
It's time to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now it's your time.
Yes. Literally blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was
I
really
have
rough.
never seen somebody go through an MBA. That is rough.
It's really rough. And to do it while working is really rough.
I can only imagine what a PhD is like.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. That's why I know my parents, my sister were like, PhD. I was like, no.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah.
That's next.
I know. But getting into our parents too, I wanted to say a little bit about that too, because, our parents are immigrants. They're, they came here, leaving their countries to come to America, and they've always worked at least 2 jobs.
Yeah, they're very, very hardworking people.
They're very hardworking people. And, I always want to make them proud too. And I feel like we have made them proud going to school, getting our degrees and everything. And they've, allowed us to have that, those luxuries here by them being so hardworking and everything. Yeah. We've been able to go to school and all this stuff, telling them they were not on board for a very long time.
Yeah, because they thought of it as kind of what all of our hard work, everything that we've put into you guys, everything that we've taught you, and now you don't want to work. Yeah. Kind of thing. Where did we go wrong?
I know, for real. And then also I feel like, like I was saying, they've always worked 2 jobs. They've had their vacations, once a year, whatever. So I just feel like they think we're so soft. I feel like they're like, what the heck? You live at home, you don't even have kids, you don't have any family, whatever, and you can't handle your job. Just your little job.
You need a break. Yeah.
And you need a break. Exactly.
It's very different, millennials. I feel like we're different. We don't live to work. Working is not our life. I think that's a generational thing. Yeah. That working is not our life. We're trying to enjoy our life. I guess it's because our parents are such hardworking people. Yeah. We see how much hard work they have put in.
Exactly.
Their whole life. And we're just different. I'm like, we want something different.
Exactly.
It's so hard, I guess, for our parents to understand that sometimes kids just need a break. And we're not really kids anymore. We're adults. Yeah. So, sometimes you just need a break from stuff.
Yeah. And I think it's just a generation, like you're saying. I think they're just all very, a lot of them started working, and kind of the trend for them was they would stay in their job, their company, for 30, 40 years. Once you started working, you would held on to that job because you're you don't want to lose it or anything. And it's their generation. It's also, I feel like, that immigrant mentality. Because you come here and my parents always tell us, you come here for a better life, and they didn't feel that they were guaranteed a job. Exactly. So when they would find a job, they would hold on to it so tight and be I know my dad always says this, my mom too, they're it's a blessing to have a job. They always say that. Yeah. It's a blessing to be able to have a job, and a good job, and even, different things. My dad would always tell us, and my mom too, but that our jobs, even working in the corporate world as such young people and everything, with a degree and everything, they would be that's such a big blessing. And I know, we don't take that for granted. And I know how much our parents had to work and everything for us, like I said, to have this privilege that I'm able to take this time off and everything. Yeah. So I know that it's a big part of all their hard work. But yeah, just telling them they were not on board at all. They were just they couldn't understand. And I just I was saying earlier, I feel like they just think we're so soft.
Yeah, yeah, definitely soft. That is the perfect word to describe it.
Yeah, because they work so hard, and they never complain. They just take working as something that you have to do, and they would even be happy to do it because they're this is how we're able to afford this home, and all that different stuff. Yeah. So little by little, though, I feel like talking about it over and over again, because I could
over years, because I keep saying this because it's the truth. The first time we presented this, and I say we because I feel like we did it together. We presented this to my parents. They were like, what? Why?
They were like, no.
Yeah.
They were like, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, it's not a good idea.
They're like, definitely no.
Over the years, after, all that, saying everything, showing that my sister has actually been preparing for this, break, we can call it, a gap year. You like to say gap year, I think, right?
Yeah, I like to call it my gap year.
Gap year. So, prepping for this gap year, they got on board with it. They're like, okay, this makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. My mom was the first one that I kind of, was able to... It's not even convince her, because I wasn't really trying to convince her, really. I could have made my decision without them, right? I was I was ready to. Even I was even telling my sister, I'm like, even if they don't want to, I'm going to do it. I was telling you, because I really was to that point. But of course, just the way that I am, I love to have my parents kind of like approval blessing of it too, because I just wanted to talk it through with them also. We have a very good relationship with our parents, thank goodness. Our whole family has a really good relationship, so
that's why we
always
talk
about
so
everything
openly.
Exactly. So I would always talk about it with them, and I just could have never made a decision this big without talking it through with them and everything. And so my mom was the first one to come around, and she was like, yeah, like this makes sense, like for this time in your life this makes sense, because like we were saying, everything
You're
just lines
young,
up.
You're single, you don't have any really
I don't
big
have kids,
responsibilities.
husband, nothing. I'm able to just like
do what I want to do. What better time than now?
Exactly. And then my dad took longer to convince, like for sure, because he was just like always like, no. He was like, this is a horrible idea. He's like, you're gonna regret it. He's like, no, this is gonna be horrible. But then even him at the end, he came around too, and he was just like, okay, it's really not that bad. And I feel like even that was so like, because I feel like kids, we also teach our parents things, and I feel even not only with this situation, but even with other things. My dad was also in the corporate world when we started in the corporate world, and I feel like
he's been in the corporate world since we were born. Before.
Exactly. He had his job, but I just feel like we even changed his views also in the corporate world, because our dad was the kind of person, I know this is switching a little bit, but just to like add this little story too, he was her person that'd be like, because that's his generation. Like, I don't even use my sick days. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I work so hard. Like, I don't even. And I feel like when we came around and we were in the corporate world and everything, and my dad would kind of see like we were like I did not let one day go wasted. Not on my watch. I was like, I'm using every single day of PTO, every single sick day. Anything.
You have use it or lose it time. I am not about to lose that time.
Exactly.
I will use it before it gets lost.
Exactly. I was using every single thing, and I feel like, I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like we even kind of influenced him in a way, because my dad also started to not let his days just expire or lose them. He would, anything that was use it or lose it, he would use it.
Yeah, because we're like, Dad, like, we call
take a day off.
Take a day off. We're like, you're gonna lose it, and it's already paid for.
Exactly. We're like, you're literally losing your own time if you're not taking those days, because that's literally time you earned. Like, it's not like they're doing you a favor. That's your time that you earned off.
You earned that time, and that's your pay.
Exactly.
So, I I need to get paid on my day off. I know. That anyways.
So
that's what it happened with Dad. And with our mom, she is self-employed. She has her own business and all that stuff. So, she could take her days off whenever she needed to.
Exactly. My mom, it was different for her. She has a different type of schedule, but she was also always not only working full time, but also taking care of us. And we even had a grandma that lived with us, and my mom would even take care of our grandma too. Yeah. So she had her hands more than full. So
and we always saw that. Was a little bit ill too, so my mom would have to do all the stuff with taking her to doctor's appointments and this and that. So everything. My mom was and us being little in school, and anyways, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, it's a whole nother story. But like, we always just saw our parents working so hard. So like, of course, here's me just having a job now, because I finished school and everything. I finished my
and a
MBA.
Good job, a nice job, an office job,
Yeah, and not wanting to, and like not being happy with it. But I think even like I'm saying, I think even they kind of learned even through me. Even right now, they're like, oh, you know what? It is okay to take a break. And I feel like we've talked about everything. And of course, me being first generation, like I'm saying, I had that luxury because our parents already did all the hard work of coming to America and everything. So it's just been crazy, and that they were on board. Even that kind of like shocked me, and it really pushed me. I was like, okay, I'm like, now I can do this. Like now I can make this decision. And I still sat on it for like another 2 months. I couldn't pull the plug.
I think
was
a little more than 2 months.
You think so? Probably. It just took me a little while to actually, like, now everybody was on board, and now it was me kind of like, I was like, I thought about it so much. I kept going back and forth. I'm like, is this what I want to do? Is this not what I want to do? And every single time I'd be like, this is what I want to do. Like, this is exactly what I want to do. And so finally it got to the point that I was able to, like, myself, I was like, okay, I'm now fully ready. Like, I always knew I was ready. Like, I had been ready for years, but I was now actually ready to, like, make the move. And it was so hard for me.
It was very hard for her, because I'm like, okay, so are you going to put in your 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And without trying to pressure her, because I didn't want her to feel pressure from me at all, but I'm like, are you going to put in your 2 weeks today? And she's like, no. I'm not going to do it on a
like
Thursday.
It doesn't feel right.
She's like, I can't do it on a Thursday because, then it's Friday. So she's like, and it's just, and she's like, I'd rather just do it on Monday. So then Monday rolls around. I'm like, okay, are you... Because I'm just curious, and I told her, and she knows I wasn't trying to pressure her. I was just curious.
Feel any pressure. I knew you were just checking in because, like, of course.
I talk to you like 1,000 times a day, so I'm like, so did you do it today? Like, come Monday comes around, I'm talking to my sister. She's like, no, you know what? I think it's better on Thursday because then I have the weekend. I'm like, what? Like, you just told me that you weren't going to do it on Thursday because of the Friday and then the weekend. So that was funny, but she decided, and that's the main thing that needs to come across is you need to do it on your time.
Exactly.
You can't do it on anybody else's time.
Exactly.
So when you felt 100% ready, that's when you did it.
Exactly. And that's when I did it. And I don't regret it one bit.
Yeah.
I did it. I still, to this day, I feel great. I'm like, I know that was the right decision. It was so hard for me to do. But like we were saying, even in previous episodes and everything, like the right decision isn't always the easiest one. Yeah. So this was a really hard decision for me to make, but I felt great about it. I still feel great about it. And I know that it's the right thing for me. I know that it's good for like my mental health, my emotional health, honestly, even my career, because
it is better for your career.
Grow somewhere else, a little bit differently. So yeah, I have a whole vlog on this, so that's going to be out soon, but I vlogged actually me getting ready to quitting my job, and then kind of like the first day being free and everything.
Yeah.
And like you'll see in that vlog and everything too. And I was so nervous to put in my 2 weeks. I was just so nervous because I've been at this company for so long, and the truth is you get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you're not happy, you're comfortable.
And comfort is really, really hard to get out of, because being in your comfort zone, it's just, that's where human nature is. Just human nature. Yeah. That's where you want to be. You always want to stay in your comfort zone. Yeah. The moment that you get out of it, you get anxiety, you get scared, you get nervous. But the only way that you'll ever grow is by getting out of that comfort zone. And I need to remember these words that I say, because
we know it, but you don't always practice it.
Yeah,
that's
what happens. Hard to put it into practice.
Yeah. And of course, grass is always greener. So that's what I have right now. I feel like the grass is greener somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. And I can assure you it is, because even for your career, it's way better. You're going to make more money. You can further your career. Yeah. It's better in the long run. I truly, truly believe that.
Exactly. And even if it's not greener, let's say it's not, it's okay.
Well, it doesn't matter.
You take a risk. That's sometimes in life you have to take risks, and I was ready to take that risk.
And that's the thing. Even I feel like doctors are like, what the risks and the benefits, you know, which one weighs more?
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully it's for the best, but I am just so happy with my decision still. I can't believe that I left corporate America, to be honest, and just even having these couple of days since I've quit, like being out, I feel so free, because
it's like a load lifted off of you.
Yeah, because it literally takes up your whole day, like we were saying. It really takes up your whole day and ends up taking up your whole life, because all you do is work. And I'm just like,
you literally only have 2 days, and you can't even take the full 2 days off, because Saturday and Sunday. On Sunday, you're prepping for Monday.
Exactly, and your week. So it's like, it's so crazy.
You have to get your food ready, your breakfast, you prep your meals. I don't know if people even do that, but I know that we do that. We prep our meals, we prep our clothes, we, everything that you have to do for the week. So you
like
really
your
only
laundry, all that stuff you have to be doing. Yeah.
So literally you only have
one
Saturday.
Day. Yeah.
And then you're back at work basically on Sunday, because you're prepping.
Exactly.
So it's so annoying. And then Friday, of course.
It's so annoying, and it's draining. It gets to the point that it's so draining. Very draining. And it's so crazy, because I was thinking about that too, how like back when I worked in retail, and like, your schedule is like all over the place, because you have like a random Tuesday off or whatever. I remember when I switched from, once I graduated and I quit my retail job and went straight into my corporate job, I was like, this is amazing. I'm like, you have 2 days off a week? I'm like, and you know what they are? I thought it was like so amazing. I was like, this is so great.
That's what they make you think, that it's so amazing.
I know, but then quickly you start realizing, like you were saying, 2 days is nothing. I don't know who came up with this, that you have to work 5 days and rest 2 out of the week.
You should be working those 2 days, and the rest of the time is off.
For real, or at least some balance.
The balance. It should be like 3 days working,
or like, even 4 days working, 3 days resting. Like, who came up with this horrible, like 5 days working, 2 days? There's no balance there.
There is no balance. It's too much focus on work. What happened to enjoying life?
Exactly.
We're all conditioned to think that this is the right way. Yeah. I don't think so. It can't be good. It's not good for anybody's, not even mental health, even physical health. You're literally sitting.
Yes.
Because this is not counting the commute. You're sitting at least a minimum of 9 hours a day. Yep. In an office. Yep. A sedentary lifestyle is detrimental to your health.
Yeah, it's not even healthy.
It's wild.
I know. And you start seeing people in the office and everything, and I'm not seeing everybody, but you look around, because I remember I even had some friends who were like, we were all younger and like new to the workplace and everything, and you start looking around and be like, dang, everybody has some type of like issue. Because for real, no, because you look around, like everybody, they have like back pain, because you're like on your computer all day, like in these positions, they're hunched over, like
you start getting that, what do they call it, tech neck?
Yeah, tech neck, or like you start like getting shaped like a banana, they say.
Oh my God.
Because your posture ends up looking like a banana.
Yeah, like a sitting banana.
Yeah, because you're like
a C shape.
Basically C shape, exactly. Yeah. So anyways, like all those things, and it's just like, it was just, I was so happy for change. And like I was saying, even the corporate world, like I feel like they want to mold you into something, and I just couldn't be that person either. And I don't know if we can share stories or maybe another time even more, but...
Do you want to share one of yours?
they want you to be a certain way. And like, I remember even having, in my previous job, not the one that I just left right now, but like where I started off, there was this person who, was telling me kind of like that if I wanted to be a leader, that I needed to look more like something different than what I am. She's like, they were saying like, you can't be like petite and be a leader. They're like, so you need to compensate for that. And like, I don't know, it was just all these things.
And we're both very short people.
Yeah.
You know, we're
short.
I'm 5'2" and my sister's
I'm 5'1".
She says 5'1". I think she's just 5 feet.
The doctor said I'm 5'1", okay? And she said I'm 5'1 1/4", something like that. So
joking.
But we're short. I'm
We're
short.
yeah.
And I just remember like even all these things, and it was just like, I know that isn't even okay. Like that person, whatever they said, that was obviously wrong what they said and everything. But it's just like all this mentality, like if you want to be a leader, like you have to do this and you have to do that. And like, it's all these things.
You have to be loud.
You have to be loud. And it's like, if you're in a meeting, you have to speak up no matter whether it's something good to say or not. And I'm like, I'm like, if you got nothing nice or productive to say,
don't say it.
Shut your mouth. Why are you talking extra just for talking? Like, I don't believe in that stuff. Do you know what I'm saying?
And those stuff, honestly, I don't think people get far in their career like that. Because then you're just talking and nobody's going to take you seriously because they're like, oh, there she goes again, just running her mouth.
And I would know that too. And like, but it was just like there's certain people who they're like, they want you to be like, you should do this and this and that. And I'm like, I'm not going to do anything that I don't feel is the correct thing to do.
Right.
And that also kind of like is like, well, then you're not going to have this or that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So basically she's telling you won't be a leader. You're not going to, I don't know, maybe move up to become a manager because you're not showing these specific characteristics
that they think is what a leader should be like, which I don't believe, I don't agree with. Do you know what I'm saying?
Because not all leaders have to be the loudest in there or the biggest person there.
Exactly. And so those were things like, all these things that kind of like didn't align with me, you know, because I believe differently. And I feel like a lot of people of our generation too, and future generations, I feel like a leader doesn't have a look. Anybody could be a leader. Yeah. Anybody, you know, there's just so many different things, even, you know, being a woman and everything. You don't have to. I feel like a lot of women, they go that route too, where like you have to be like mean, for example, because like you can't show your emotions,
or they become just, like, being like manly because the world is run by men. Yeah, and so it's always like, well, if a woman shows emotion, like you said, or is more feminine, then she can't be a leader.
Exactly. They don't take you serious.
They don't take you seriously. They think you're just too like, oh, she's so cute and like pretty and whatever. Yeah. Like she's too like dainty. I don't even know. Too feminine even.
They don't take you serious or whatever. Yeah. But that's
so wrong.
So wrong. And I feel like it's also an older way of thinking. Because I feel like nowadays, you still run into these people who think these old ways. But there are people out there who think in a more modern way where they're like, you know what? You can be whoever you are and also be a leader, be good at your job, be this and that. Like, you don't have to look a certain way, act a certain way to excel at your job. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I feel like that is coming, but you still run into those people that really think like you're saying, like if you're a woman and you want to be a leader, well then you have to act like the men. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. And I feel like that needs to be changed completely. So people like that are actually detrimental because you need to think correctly and like, you know, doesn't matter
that's
if you're
a bad
feminine.
Apple.
Yeah, that's like a bad apple, exactly. But those are things that you run into.
You do.
And that's the thing, that is some stuff in the corporate world, because there are still those older generations in the workplace and they do have that different way of thinking. And they, you know, they have those kind of like, I don't know how to explain it, like lanes that they want you to be in, like, and sometimes you just don't fit in that. So those are all the things that I was like, you know what, this is like not for me. But of course, am I never going to go back to corporate America? No, I'm not saying that either. I most likely will go back, right? Like I find a different job. Hopefully, you know, different type of mentality to and everything, different places. But like I'm saying,
maybe something more modern even.
Yeah, something more modern, something a little bit different. But also I have like some, you know, little kind of like, not really side hustles yet so much, but different things that I want to focus on too, different things that I want to try. And that's what I'm going to use this year for. I want to really just, like I was saying, obviously have some fun for sure. Yeah. Relax, like we were saying. But even just like think about my life and everything and different things that I want to do and just being young and like taking those risks and trying those things, you know? Yeah. That's kind of what I wanted to do. Exactly. And when I was working, I feel like my mind I barely had time to think about anything that I wanted to think about, because it's kind of crazy, but when you're at work, it's like all about work, right? And I had a really demanding job too. So it's not something that I'm just like at work, but like I can like be on my phone, like browsing, like no. My job was like, so it's just too much. Like you have to work like at 110% every single day. And yes, that is good. And I'm the type of person that I give 110% anyways of myself, always to everything that I'm doing. But even that I felt like wasn't enough. Like, so it's just like all those different things. really end up draining you and everything. And so that's what I'm hoping also with my time off, to just even think about things that I want to do in life, and like kind of put my time and energy into those little projects that I've been wanting to work on, and maybe they can even flourish a little bit more, in this time.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited because some of the projects include me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for real. And I'm hoping, like our projects, we can do those things too. Yeah. Even just like things around my house. Like I want to, redo my room. I've been like little by little doing it, but I have some bigger changes that I've been wanting to do.
We want to do like a big declutter.
Yeah. Doing like a big declutter. All these little things that like you never can get around to doing on a weekend. There's never enough time.
There's not enough hours in the day, one day, to do any kind of like deep decluttering ever.
And when you have your time off, you want to go on vacation. Like I want to go to the beach, something like that. So there was like just never enough time to do anything. And yeah, I just been in the corporate world for so long, been working since I was 17. Like I was saying, I am just ready for a break.
Yeah.
And like I said, no regrets. I literally feel so happy. So we'll keep updating you guys too in these episodes. Maybe here and there I'll give little updates of how everything's going and all that. But yeah, I would just kind of say, to close and everything is like, obviously like we were saying, this decision is not something I did lightly. And I am always of the type of mentality that I'm like, I always feel like you should kind of multitask. And like while you're, thinking about something else, you should always keep your job. Like that's always been my mentality.
Yeah.
So even for me, it's kind of hard to like do this, but honestly, it feels so right. It feels so right to just give yourself a little break if you're able to.
If you're able to, you have the means to do it.
Exactly. And if life just aligns, like we were saying, I don't have kids or anything. If I had kids, and that would be a different story. I wouldn't be able to do that. If you're able to, it's just nice to give yourself a little break and kind of just like refocus and remember like what life is about, because life isn't just working.
Life is not just about working. It just can't be. That can't be it.
Yeah.
That's not it.
Yeah. And I read this statistic where it's like you'll never do anything more in life than work. Like working is what takes up the most amount of like years of your life. And I know that may be true even for me still and whatever, but I'm just like, you know what? That just seems wrong. That just seems so wrong. So
I don't know. And like I mentioned before, I've seen how life is so short that you need to live your life.
Yeah.
It's time to have fun.
Yeah. Time to enjoy and everything. Yeah. And just build like, things even for the future too, good habits, like whatever it is, even just
going out for a nice walk, in the middle of the day. Those are things that you think they're just like whatever, but those are like little pieces of joy that you have just going out for an afternoon walk that you can't do at work. You can't do that.
Yeah, I couldn't with my job. Even I honestly wouldn't even take a lunch, and those are all these things that like.
That's the stuff that, I mean, we can go on forever with this because there's so many stuff. Maybe we'll do like another episode of like, maybe like a corporate red flags.
Yeah, corporate red flags, or even just like what it's like working in corporate America.
Yeah, what it's like working in corporate America. Because it's crazy.
It is crazy. Yeah. And it's so crazy coming in as like, straight out of college and just being so excited. And then now I can't even believe it, just being like.
Going in as a baby.
Yeah.
And then you come out as an adult.
Yeah, exactly. So even being a young professional, maybe we can even talk about that more. Just all these things, I am just looking forward to having this time off. And I honestly feel so excited, which I feel like I haven't felt in such a long time, like excited for just something new. Because it's been, when you work, it's just the same thing over and over again. So I just feel excited for a change.
Yes, it's a big change. It's a huge change.
It's a huge change. I still can't even believe I did it, to be honest. It's still so fresh that I'm just like, can't even believe it.
But I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited. But yeah, so that is pretty much all for today's episode. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button. We will be here next week with another episode. And yeah, anything else?
I don't know. Let us know. Would you guys leave your corporate job?
Yeah.
For a gap year?
Yeah.
Let us know. Would you? I don't know.
Yeah, would you do it?
I would.
Yeah. I am. So
you did.
I did. So don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, guys. See you on Wednesday.
Bye.